Welcome back to today's episode. I am so grateful to share with you guys today's guest, who's absolutely incredible, beautiful soul, Amberly Lago. She is one of those people that when you get to know her, you're like, this is just the real deal. She's so down to earth and so incredible, and she's created so much beauty in this world. So I want to introduce you guys, share with you a little bit of background about who she is and kind of what's gotten her to the place that she's at now. So if you don't know her yet, just a little bit about her. She is widely recognized for helping entrepreneurs build their business with grit and resilience. And you're about to find out why. She's one of those people that has really moved through so much resilience herself. And I can't wait to share that story with you and let her really share more about that. She has this incredible mastermind called The Unstoppable Life. Incredible name, because so many of those incredible people are creating that unstoppable life. And she really has worked with thousands of clients over her career to help them find success through harnessing their grit. So she has this incredible podcast. You guys have to check this out, by the way, True Grit and Grace. And it's recognized by Apple as being that top 1% podcast in the world, you guys. Her message is so powerful. And that top 1% is because people have reviewed it and said, this resonates with me. So lean into that space. I could not recommend it more. She is really powerful in talking about grit and resilience and connection. And she's shared stages with some incredible authors and thought leaders. And she has this incredible TED Talk, by the way. I mean, there's like a million places you can plug into her energy, but it has hundreds and thousands of views. So what she says truly does resonate with people. I cannot wait to share with you more about just everything that she stands for and what she's created in her own life. So she has really created this incredible business, and she has been in so many different places like USA Today, Forbes, The Doctors, Hallmark, The Today Show. I mean, I could go on and on and on, but I would love to just introduce her now. Thank you so much, Amberly, for joining us and for just spreading your magic and your story and your realness into this space. So thank you for being here.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. And that was the best introduction ever. Oh my
I
goodness. Yes. And I just want to say how amazing you are and what a beautiful soul you are.
love.
And we met when we were at an event and you walked up and I was like, this is my kind of people. Like we
Yeah.
just instantly connected. And I was like, oh, finally, I'm here to meet you. Like, and then we met for coffee or for a walk in Dallas, and it's just been so amazing getting to know you, and I just appreciate you having me here. And before we started recording, we were talking about, failures and kind of sharing those failures and how you got through them. And I was like, well, I've definitely got a lot of failures because I think sometimes when, you hear somebody's bio, you're like, oh, wow, well, that's a lot. And sometimes I hear my own bio and I'm like, did I really do that? Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's me. Because, it's easy sometimes to focus on those failures. So I'm definitely here to share all the struggles to success and how I've done it. So others can do the same, because if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just really digging into that nitty gritty of sometimes I feel like we can put people on pedestals, and even ourselves when we're like thinking of our bio, we're like, whoa, I did that. And this idea of being like, wait, but I'm a real human. And like I had these moments in time that brought me to my knees so that I could honestly sometimes burn that version of me down and rebuild like the Phoenix,
Mhm.
right? And so I think that's what's so powerful about your story and what you've been through and moved through. And what I think is so fun too that you just mentioned, we went to this event, which was so powerful. And that's something I wanted to touch upon today too, is, I got invited to this event, and I remember thinking, there's a reason that I need to be there, even though the audience wasn't, I mean, there were a lot of real estate people in the audience, and I
Yeah,
was
it
like,
wasn't quite my audience. It was a
yeah,
little, yeah, yeah.
yeah. And
I'm right there with you.
yeah, and I'm like, I'm a shaman, like what's happening? And so it was like, but I was like, I gotta be in that room. I just don't know why, but it was this intuitive hit, these small moments in time that tell you to kind of like make a shift. Like we're holding the vision of what we want, and sometimes we have this plan, but we're being asked to deviate. And so that was one of those moments where I'm like, I gotta be in this room, and I don't know why. And so I remember going to the event and being like, okay, like kind of resonating, kind of not. And then I looked down and I just heard this voice. It was like, go fill your water cup. And I'm like, okay, but it's like three-fourths full, it's half full. Okay. So I get up, I go to get the water, and I turn and I'm like, there's this fabulous woman wearing this incredible butterfly suit. And I'm like, like, I have to talk to her. She looks incredible. And insert Amberly Lago. And I'm like, oh my God, this is why I came to this event. Like we just instantly clicked where it was like, oh, you're just good people, the vibe, the energy, and you're just so much fun to play with and to create with. So I'm so grateful to follow those intuitive hits and that that's what brought us together.
Yeah. And it's interesting because sometimes I've been at an event thinking, oh, I'm there to meet this one person.
Yeah.
And then you realize when you listen to those little hits, or I like to call them God winks,
Yes.
um, that you realize you were there to meet somebody completely different or
Yes.
do something completely different. And so I felt that with you like
Yes.
immediately.
Yeah, yeah, I did too. And so I would love to talk about these God winks, exactly as you said. I love that saying. That's so potent and that really resonates with me too. So I think sometimes a lot of people, I know myself included, before I really connected back into my intuition, I would kind of discount those little moments where it was like a little voice asking me to do things. And so I'm curious, where have you received those little God winks that you followed? And they actually brought some sort of miracle into your life. Because I think talking about those little moments in time, about how they can really shift the trajectory of your life, I think is really potent to reconnect people to their intuition and the power of that too, and those little God winks.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's such a great question. And for a long time, I don't think I listened to my intuition. I didn't trust my gut. I think that comes from a lot growing up and being sexually abused and having my stepfather who abused me. And when you have somebody that is supposed to protect you and who's a guardian and that you look up to and that you trust, and they're telling you, and you're saying, this is wrong, this is not right. And they're telling you, no, this is right. This is how dads teach their daughters. This is right. You're like, oh, you start to not trust your gut and your intuition. And after a lot of healing and therapy and reading books and a lot of tears and overcoming addiction to try to numb some of those feelings out, um, I think is when I started to trust my gut and intuition more. And the thing is, our heads might say something, our hearts may say something, but our guts never lie. And so, and I think there have been many moments where I've just listened to the intuition. And it's interesting because it's even gotten so strong now where I can actually think about someone. Like I will literally be thinking of them and my phone will ring and it's them.
Yes.
Or I can literally be thinking of somebody. I'm like, I need to call them. And I call them and they're really going through something or struggling for something. But I think there was a moment in my life that I think people can come into your life and help you in so many different ways. And one of the people in my life that really, really helped me, and this was the first thought that I had come into mind when you asked this question, was so I had this big amazing, so I had gone through a horrible accident and had all these surgeries, 34 surgeries to save my leg from amputation, and then was diagnosed with a nerve disease called complex regional pain syndrome. And it's dubbed the suicide disease because it leaves you in constant chronic pain. And there's no known cure. I was told I'd be disabled forever, that I'd never work again, that I'd never walk again. And I was walking through the pain, but I remember there was this one day that I thought, I can't take this pain anymore. It was about a year after the accident, after all these surgeries. And I went in to the doctor who saved my leg, Dr. Wiss, and I said, Dr. Wiss, look, I appreciate all you've done for me to save my leg, but it's just giving me too much pain. We need to go ahead and cut it off. And he was like, looked at me funny and he's like, we can't do that. Then he sat in front of me. Usually they put your leg up on the table or something. He sat in front of me and he put my scarred up, deformed leg in his lap on his nice white coat. And I thought, the first thing I thought was, wow, he's putting my disgusting leg on his nice white coat. Then he did something that just changed everything for me. He looked at my leg like it was a, a masterpiece, like a work of art. And I started crying and I thought, wow, if he can look at my leg like that, then maybe I can learn to love it too. And so sometimes I think these God winks, or it could be the way somebody looks at you. It could be somebody saying something nice to you in the store. It could be somebody just like pouring belief into you or encouragement into you that just changes everything. And that moment really changed my life because it was the first time I really accepted, okay, well, these are the cards I've been dealt. This is the leg that I have, and I can look at it with disgust, or I can look at these scars as all the battles I've overcome. And I can look at this pain as what have I learned from it and how can I turn it into my purpose. And from that day forward, I mean, I'm not saying it was easy, but I started to learn to love and accept myself and then start to make better decisions on how to have a healthier, more fulfilled life.
That is incredible. Like when you think about that doctor, I was getting tears in my eyes as you're talking, like what an angel on earth that she
Oh, he was an
finally,
angel. He's is an angel.
yeah.
I mean, so they were going to amputate my leg at the first hospital, and it was like it took a lot of prayer, a lot of grit, and a lot of calling in some favors to get me transferred to another hospital. And I will never forget this. We finally found one doctor that was willing to try to save it because they said I had a 1% chance of saving it. And we found this doctor, Dr. Don Wiss, who is a trauma specialist, and he said, I'm willing to try to save it. And I got transferred to the hospital, and it was a Sunday. And they said, well, he's out of town, but he's going to be back on Monday and he'll come and see you, and we'll start to try to clean this all up and try to save it. And they had already pieced together my femoral artery. I'll never forget, it was a Sunday night. And I get emotional just thinking about this. I was alone in the hospital and in so much pain. And there comes this guy walking in. He wasn't in a coat, a doctor's coat or anything. He was in a like a tan suit. And he walks in, and I looked, he had a name badge on that said, Dr. Wiss. And I looked at him, and he must have thought I was crazy because I looked at him and I was like, you're the man that's going to save my leg. Oh, thank you. You're going to save it. He said, well, we're going to try. We're going to get you in there first and kind of clean this all up. And we're going to do our best to try to save it. But I thought, here he was. He made a special trip into the hospital before he was on call or anything just to come and see me.
Mm.
And I think when he saw me, he thought, okay, I know what, I know the kind of person she is. I got to fight for her. And he did surgery after surgery after surgery until he finally saved my leg. And so I, it's interesting. I wrote about him in my book. And when I had the manuscript ready, um, I shared it with him. And I remember going to his office to give it to him to read and kind of get his approval. And then not being able to sleep, going, oh my gosh, what if he hates it? What if he doesn't like it? Because he's a really good writer.
Mm.
And so he wrote me a testimonial for the book. And then he wrote about me in his book. He said,
Oh,
my case was the hardest case that he had ever done, all those surgeries. And I'll just share one more thing real quick of how amazing this man is. So it was probably, I don't know, maybe 6 months, 8 months, maybe. I don't remember exactly what month it was on. I was in and out of the hospital so much, but all of a sudden, oh my gosh, Christina, I could, when I would step on my leg, it would bow out. And it hurt. I got to the point where I couldn't walk on it anymore. And I went to Dr. Wiss and I was like, hey, Dr. Wiss, I think we got a problem. And he's like, what's going on? And I said, well, look, and I grabbed my ankle and my knee and I bent my leg where the middle of my shin bent, where it's not supposed to bend.
right.
And he sat back and put his hand over his mouth. He said, oh, we got to do an x-ray. He comes back and he said, you broke the titanium in your leg. And my husband was like, how does someone break titanium? And he explained it as the titanium is only as good as fast as your leg and the bone can heal. And I had a non-union in the bone. And so over time, just bending that titanium, putting that stress on it, it broke the titanium. Well, I thought maybe they could just put a cast on it. No, he had to do a 12 and a half hour surgery to take the broken titanium out. Then they couldn't sew the leg back up. And he had to do another surgery just to sew the leg back on. And I had a wound back on my leg. And he knew how hard I just fought and fought and fought to get better and to walk again, especially when I was told that I would never walk again. And here I was walking. So he fought, and I had to have three surgeons there for the surgery. I had to have the plastic surgeon that dealt with the muscle flap and skin grafts. And he came back in and he said, "Well, you wouldn't believe, Dr. Wiss. I've never seen him sweat like that in my life. For 12 and a half hours, he was standing over you, sweat dripping down, trying to get that titanium in your leg." So when you meet people like that, I mean, he believed in in me and fought so hard to save my leg. And so it's moments like that where, like I said, in moments like where my husband was at the hospital with me every single surgery, and my husband actually loved me before I could love myself. And then, I had a community of women who supported me and loved me. And to this day, I now have other women. That's why I created my mastermind, is because I think that we need a place where we can connect and support and we can have accountability. It's how I can thrive being an entrepreneur, because that's it's not always easy.
Right.
It's where I can stay sober, and it's where I can be the healthiest mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Ooh, there was just like, God bless this man and God bless you too, because it's this like
Thank you.
the power of intention of being like, that's not my story. The story I just got from 100 people, that's not mine. Thank you for stopping by. Next, that really powerful moment of saying, that's not mine. And I think in entrepreneurship, we experience that. I'm getting body chills for you right now, that even in entrepreneurship, like you were saying, the power of plugging into other people's energy that
Uh-huh.
believe in you, that believe in your vision, even before we believe in it. Your husband believing in you before you believed in yourself at that moment in time. And so the power of that, of really starting to lean in and plug into energy that's working for you, right? We get enough of the other, enough of the negative side of stuff. But like when we can really lean into mastermind spaces or healers, doctors, people that believe in your vision and what you believe is possible, and here you are with both legs walking and allowing yourself to experience what you always envisioned, which was, this gets to be my story. I'm walking again. I'm moving again. The power of knowing, like, I want this and I get to have this. And so, like, just huge kudos to you for just continuing to say, like, that's not mine, but this is. Let's keep finding the people that are my people that are going to help me see this vision through.
I think it's so important. And I feel that you are very intuitive and very connected to people's energy. And I think that's why we connected
Yeah.
right away, because it was like, oh, yeah, you
Yes.
feel that. You
Yeah.
feel, I'm like, oh, and the best way I can describe that is when you get around your people, you feel at home. It
Yeah.
just feels at home. It feels safe. You feel seen, heard, and understood. And I think that's what we all really want, is to
Yeah.
just be in that energy. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I felt that with you right away. And
Yeah.
I think whether you're on a healing journey or an entrepreneurial journey, a sobriety journey, it's so important to find those people who you connect with on that deeper level.
Yes, I completely agree. And so thinking about this experience that you moved through of being like, I had 34 surgeries on this leg. Now, hindsight 2020, would you consider this entire experience to be one of your greatest teachers or one of your greatest gifts? Because I think a lot of times when we're experiencing physical pain or a setback or these moments in time, we think, okay, it's happening to me. Never mind. I'm not going to go for it. We have that sometimes that victim mentality where we're like, I'm just giving up. And granted, I know sometimes we oscillate, we're human, but how did you shift from, oh my gosh, this is happening to me, to suddenly being like, this is happening for me? And how did it become one of your greatest teachers?
Such a great question. I mean, that I always say that pain has been my biggest teacher. And honestly, getting through 34 surgeries was really hard. I mean, there were moments where it was so bad and that I was after a surgery, they couldn't control my pain and my vitals were, you know, uh, going down they, I was going into shock and they're like, we might have to put her back in a coma because we just can't control the pain. And that was hard. But living with an incurable nerve disease, and I think that's what a lot of times people don't see. And so that's why I try to be is like I share things on social media to say, yeah, look, I mean, don't believe everything you see on social media because a lot of times people post their highlight reels and I like to post positive things, but I also share that, yeah, here I am speaking on stage, but swipe through the other pictures and see what I looked like before I went on stage and what I looked like after. And it's hard for my husband sometimes because when I'm on stage, like I feel no pain. I love getting to speak at events and do all that. I mean, I feel no pain. My favorite thing to do, the reason I'm there is because I love connecting with people. And I love when I can say like something that I can see the light come on and the transformation begin and that breakthrough happen. And sometimes after an event, I've gotten off stage and you're just on this high. The adrenaline's going, I feel no pain. And then it's like, I crash. And my husband sees me after like the adrenaline's gone and the pain is kicking in and it's kicked my butt. And it's a constant journey. It's not like I got through this and I've developed all these tools and now life is just good. No, it's up and down all the time. And I think whether you're experiencing physical pain or pain from a failed launch that you've done, I've experienced that, or you feel like you crashed and burned on stage, and I've done that, or you feel like you just didn't nail an interview or whatever it may be. I think that being able to recognize it and be in acceptance and go, okay, well, what did I learn from this? Instead of why is this happening to me? How is it happening for me? And what can I learn from it? Because I think I've learned my biggest lessons from all of my failures. And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons I even started my mastermind because every single thing that I failed at, every single thing I wasted money on, and I did a lot of that. Look, a little over 6 years ago, I didn't even own a computer. So after my accident, I completely lost my career. I had a fitness business. I had several trainers that worked with me, that I employed. And I lost my whole business. We had $2.9 million worth of medical expenses and a lien on our house. And so I was like, well, what can I do? And I think that if you're going, okay, well, things aren't working out, or I might like to explore another business or adventure, like ask yourself, what brings you joy? What are the things that light you up? And so for me, like I said earlier, I love connecting with people. And so I thought, well, I might not be able to be on my feet physically training people every day, but how can I help people in another way? And that's how I got into coaching. And um, but I think that I'm constantly learning. And I think when we stop learning, life gets kind of boring. I always want to keep learning. But now I love taking all the lessons that I've learned, instead of beating myself up about it. Go, okay, well, that didn't work. What can I do next time to make it work? Also, I've learned to, I just had a client of mine right before this call. Um, uh, I was trying to help her set up her mic and help her just like how to prepare for a podcast and stuff like that. And I said, yeah, I'm learning a lot of new systems this year and technology can be scary for me. And she goes, well, how do you do it? And I said, I look on YouTube, I Google stuff, I figure it out, I play around with it until I can figure it out. And that's what we have to do. I work with people who are scared to post on Instagram. And I'm like, look, when I first started, when I was going to launch my book, I didn't have money to market my book. I mean, we were just getting out of debt. I had just started my coaching business. And so my publisher was like, hey, look, we don't do any marketing or branding for you. If you want your book in the hands of people, you're going to have to do that yourself. And so what I did was thought, well, let me figure out social media and Instagram. And I leave my crappy post up there so people can see we all start somewhere. I didn't know what a hashtag was. Fast forward today, who would have thought that I would own a computer, have a podcast, be getting this honor to get to be on your show and talk with you? I think that when we focus on why we started, we don't get burnout. It's when we forget why we're doing the things that we're doing is when we start to lose steam or momentum, or that leads to burnout. So I always think, why did you start? What's your why? What's your purpose? And I think that, like I said, pain has been a big reason why I do the things that I do, because when I can help somebody else, it turns the pain that I have experienced or still experience into purpose.
Yes. Holding on to that why is so powerful. It's been the thing too that's helped me continue on this entrepreneurial journey when people don't get it and you're like, that's okay. Like as
Yeah.
long as I get it and I understand why I'm taking steps in this direction anyways, it's so empowering. And especially when you can surround yourself with people that also get it, or at least respect you and love you and want to see you win. And so I think that's so powerful that you were talking about too, about really connecting to your why and like letting it kind of like reverberate through your heart too, of not just like intellectually knowing it, but embodying it, like letting that
Hmm.
be the catalyst to why you create the things that you do. And similar to what you were saying, you're like, 6 years ago didn't have a computer and now I have this top 1% podcast because people resonate with what I had to say. And guess what? I had to Google how to create things. I had to,
Oh, yeah.
go on YouTube and figure it out through grit and resilience and learning those lessons along the way. And so it's just so empowering and so powerful when you think about those little micro steps where we think, oh, I wish I had a team or I wish I had, not letting that stuff get you down, but instead being like, I'm going to learn it. There's no way it can be that hard. I'm going to let myself learn this new skill so that I can get to the other side of this because my why is bigger than learning how to do this or being a beginner or the frustration behind something not working. My why is bigger than this thing that just happened, which I think is really, really powerful in those moments where we do stumble.
Yeah. And you know what? I think I love what you just said. And I think it's really important. I'm grateful that when I started, I was a one woman show. I remember I did not have an email list, or maybe a few people, like literally a few people. Um, and I remember when my book launched on the Today Show, and I was not expecting to have emails from people from all over the world, like all over the world. My inbox on every platform, DMs, Messenger, it was just like I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just trying to figure it out along the way. But I'm glad that I started like that and I learned how to, build an email list, how to post on social media. I had a client once who said, well, I'm going to start posting on social media when I can hire somebody to do it. And I said, no, you need to do it now. I said, and learn, because there might be times when it right now I do have a team. I've got a producer and an assistant and an event planner and a graphics designer, and it's taken time to get to that point. But because I know how to do all of the things, if something happened, I could keep things going. But it's also very important to have those systems in place. And look, I remember one time I paid thousands of dollars, like thousands of dollars, to work with this coach that I really respected. And I was like, man, I love what he has built. And I had started to build things out and I was ready to take my business to the next level. And I'm sharing this because it's so, so, so important to really do your research and your homework on who you're hiring and investing money in. Because I've made this mistake. I had hired him to help me with systems and next things to do for your business. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you do like I literally didn't even hardly know how to work Facebook. And I was like, okay, well, how do you run an ad and how do you check that? And I was like, well, how do you do this? And he couldn't answer me because he didn't do those things. He
Yeah.
had a lot of money and he had somebody else that was doing all that for him. And I was
Yeah.
like, but no, I need to know those answers. So make
Right.
sure
Yeah.
you hire somebody that knows how to do it so they can go, okay, this is how you do it. Or here's, let me do a Loom video and show you how to do that thing. I think it's so important. I mean, because my goodness, I've definitely kind of makes me sick when I look back and all that money I spent that like what a waste. And that's
Yeah.
one thing I do every year also is and I don't like to say waste because you do learn from every experience, but every year on the new year, I make a list of three things. One, what brought me joy. Two, what was a waste of time. And
Mhm.
three, what moved the needle on my business. And I look at the things that when I say waste of time, that could be like interviewed on a podcast where they decided that they just weren't going to they weren't going to do a podcast anymore. And you're like,
Okay.
oh, wow, I just spent, an hour and a half, and you're not going to do anything with that video or that audio or, or anything that you think could have wasted your money. But I make that list and I learn to, okay, how can I cut these things out? How can I add more joy into my family life, my business, my personal life? And then how can I look at the things that really move the needle on my business and focus on really putting energy and time into those things even more?
Yes. Ooh, I love those lists. That's something that's very tangible that people could do right now listening to this is looking at those three things and learning. And very similar to what you were saying, sometimes like the way that I look at this life experience is like I came here to learn and money is just energy. When I think about it underneath it all, I'm like, this is just an energetic exchange. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I have to spend the money to learn the lesson.
Yes.
Sometimes that's the best money I've ever spent because I'm like, that was the worst in the way, but it was like not what I needed. But underneath it, it was exactly what I needed, which was learning, oh, I need to do more research, or oh, I need to read the
Uh-huh.
contracts more closely, or oh, I need to XYZ. I remember doing that for a photo shoot. I bought these really beautiful dresses from a company that I didn't really know of. And I bought these dresses and I was like, if they don't work, I can return them. Didn't read the fine print. And it was like, nope, you're keeping all four of these dresses. And so it was one of those where it was like, okay, lesson learned. But what was really fun and beautiful about that is like, okay, now I know to read the fine print of contracts, duh. But like I had to have that moment to remember that. And two, I got to gift these beautiful gowns to my son's cousins. And it was so fun because it was like, even though they didn't work for me, they're getting to wear these beautiful gowns to prom and to these other places where they're like,
Oh,
thank you. And
good.
I'm like, this is exactly why I had the dresses. Like, that wasn't a waste of money at all. That was the exact lesson I needed and how much joy it brought them. I'm like, I would spend that money again in a heartbeat. So that's what's so powerful about, the spending of the energy is like, interesting. What did I learn here? How did I grow? And
Yeah.
it's on both ends of the spectrum where you're like, I learned through love and exactly in alignment and all this stuff. And I also learned through opposition, which was, this is definitely not what I needed. And now I know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And every mistake and every failure and everything that I've learned, now I get to share that with my clients
Yeah.
and say, and like, don't do this thing. Don't, this platform is better for holding your courses on it, or whatever it may be. That they're like, oh, I should spend money on that. I'm like, no, 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 that's a scam. Don't buy
Right.
that.
Yeah. Yes. The power of masterminds where you're like, let me save you some time and money. by having you plug into the lessons that I learned so that you don't have to learn them too. That's like the beauty of mentorship is like, let me learn through you to expedite my timeline or to learn something faster so that I don't have to do that also to get to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. So, what would you say have been some of your greatest lessons on this journey? Knowing, learning from the failures, what have been some of those really powerful lessons that you're like, woof, I needed to learn that, or that's something that's really changed the way that I do business or I show up in life? What would you say those are?
I think number one is like really pay close attention to who is in your inner circle and make sure that you're aligning yourself with people who have integrity or the same values as you, and also people that are doing big things and have big dreams. So when you go to them, they don't think, "Oh, that's crazy. You want to write a book?" Because a lot of times, you might even have like family members or something. They've never written a book. They've never, spoken on a stage in front of thousands of people, and so it might scare them. They don't know how to do it, so of course they're gonna want to, in their own way, kind of protect you, is
Right.
what they're thinking. They're like, but they might think, that's crazy. Like another book.
Right.
Um, like it was interesting. I just signed another book deal and I was super excited about it, a little scared too, but super excited. And so I went and told a family member and they were just like, well, when are you going to do that? How are you going to have time to do that? But when I went and told one of my girlfriends, who's also an entrepreneur, she goes, "Oh my God, that is awesome."
Yes.
Okay. When I got on the team meeting, the onboarding call with the publisher, and I had all these questions, they're like, "Oh, we love that you're thinking ahead on how you're going to promote it, how you're going to launch it, and who's going to write the forward and all that." So it's just really making sure that, yes, you can love your close friends or your family members, but who are you connecting with and sharing your big dreams that are going to say, "Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's not crazy. I totally believe in you and you're going to do it." So that is a big lesson that I've learned. I would say also a big lesson that I've learned is when you're hiring a mentor or coach, make sure that they have done the things that you want to do, that they've done the things that you want to accomplish. Um, and it'll take you far. Also, I think that, when I first started, I remember working. Oh my goodness, I worked for like 6 months and I created this 43-page workbook and 3-month course. And I remember launching it and going, "Oh, I'm so excited. People are just going to run to sign up for this." It was crickets.
Yep.
Like,
Had one of those.
I mean, I
Yeah.
share that because I remember going on a hike with one of my girlfriends and I was like, not one person signed up.
Yeah.
Like, not not one. And like, what did I do wrong? So when I say, then like invest in someone who can help you to go, okay, well, maybe what you did wrong was you aren't you weren't selling this to the right audience, or your wording wasn't right on the launch, or where were the real tangible tools. And so I think it's really important to make sure that you are just not beating yourself up too much, but learning those lessons and going, okay, how can I do it better next time?
Yes. Yes. And what I've learned, this is kind of similar to what you were just speaking into, was when someone tells you you can't, you're meeting their limitations, not your own. And I think sometimes we receive it and we take it as our own, but it's like, oh, wait, that's what you think is possible. Okay, thank you for that. That's not what I think is possible. And so distinguishing the two, just because someone says it's not possible, like a friend or a family member, it's noticing, okay, thank you for that. Interesting point of view. That's yours. That's okay. There is no right or wrong, but here's mine. And then plugging in the spaces where you're like, oh, this is received in a way that's really fueling versus potentially taking, the wind out of my sails. So I think that's so
It's motivation for me. Like, I don't know why, maybe call me crazy, but when somebody says, "Oh, you can't do that," or that's not
Ooh, I like
possible.
this. Yes.
I'm like, oh, really?
Watch
Watch me,
me.
you
Yes.
know?
Yes. Watch me. Yes, you guys listen, like how powerful that idea of really letting that be the, then watch me. Like I'm gonna, like I just got body chills for you on that because it's that idea of like anything is possible, especially when we put our energy behind it and our intention behind it. So I think that's so powerful. Those lessons that were coming through of the failed launches, I've had those too, where I was like, what happened here? And it was like,
Yeah.
I had to have that to recognize myself. I can't copy and paste someone else's business strategy. It has to be in alignment with my energy. That's kind of what I was
Yes.
doing. I was plugged into the wrong coach at the time where it was like, I was doing exactly what I was being told to do, but it didn't really match what my heart was telling me to do. And so I was like, I'm doing everything right. What's wrong with me? And it was like, actually, nothing's wrong with me. I'm not honoring me. I'm not honoring myself
Yeah.
and my energy. And so it was like this really powerful lesson, 6 months in of launching this thing, making $300. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like it felt like a quote unquote waste of time when really that was like a really powerful lesson that I'm like, thank you for learning that. Like 6 months is
Yeah.
like a microcosm to what I actually now am using that for the rest of my life. So so powerful to share that and to know that failed launches are your opportunity to learn something really powerful about yourself. So thank you for sharing.
And yeah, and you know what? Like that failed launch, I was still able to use parts of that for something completely different. So now I've used that, you know, workbook that I created that I was so proud of. I've used that to now put that in another program or give it free to, so there's always something you can do. There's a lesson to be learned. There's something you can use from what you've created for the greater good. And so, but I think it's so powerful what you said about like being in alignment with who you are and what connected to your heart is, and I'll say that really hit home when you said that, because like when I first started speaking, um, I had somebody tell me, they were like, well, you have to wear a suit. You got to wear a suit. You're a speaker. You got to wear a suit. Um, you know, uh, and you have to do it this way and that way. And I was like, that's just not me. Wearing a suit is not me, unless it's a butterfly suit. Then I'll wear a
Yes.
butterfly suit. But
Yes.
I have
Yeah.
that. I was like, and I remember when I was going on the Today Show, well, you're going to show your scars, and I'm like, yeah, especially because I had one of my doctors say, "Oh, well, you'll never wear shorts or a skirt again with all those scars." I was like, "Really? No, I'm going to wear shorts, and actually on national TV, I'm going to wear a skirt that shows my scars." And now, like, I go speak, and I, because of my leg and my ankle being fused, and because of the pain, there's like one brand of shoes that I can wear, and it happens to be boots. And it's something with a pitch of the heel or something. It's the only thing that I can wear that doesn't flare me up. So I work out in boots. In fact, they nicknamed me at the gym Boots, because I'm like, no, I'm not trying to set a fashion trend. It's like, this is all I can wear. And I was trying on a new dress for this speaking event that I'm doing. And my husband comes in and he's like, well, what shoes are you going to wear with that? Because it was a really nice, kind of elegant little classy dress. And I said, well, I'm going to wear my boots.
Yeah.
And so it's true to who I am. And I've accepted that, you know what, these are the shoes that I can wear. And so what, I wear boots with a dress or whatever. That's become kind of my thing and my brand. And I'm in total alignment with, well, this is who I am. And I think that when you own who you are and you own your story, and all the what you may call bad or good things, is like you can turn defects into assets, and you can turn pain into purpose, and you can just be authentically you. And I think that's what we all really want, is to connect with people who are just like authentic. And I always say perfect is boring, so
Oh, my
be
grandma used
imperfectly
to say,
you.
yeah. My grandma used to say that. She's like, how boring to be perfect, like be imperfectly you. I love that. Right. And it's perfect is so subjective too. It's like, what is perfect? Well, it's different for me than it is to someone else. And so it's like to no longer strive for something that's not even possible. Just like strive for being authentically yourself and feel how that feels in your body, exactly like you were saying.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So that's incredible advice for someone who might be struggling. Is there anything else that you would share with someone from an advice perspective who may be experiencing pain or life circumstances that feel like they're not working for them? What do you want them to know?
Um, well, this is something that I use every single day. Um, uh, and it can be through getting through struggles at work and trying to get through all these sticky notes of to-do lists and
Yeah.
systems that I have to figure out, or it can be actual physical pain. And it's something I came up with because my husband had told me at one point, he could tell I was really tired. And he's like, you really need to pace yourself. And I was like, I was kind of offended. That meant slow down. I don't want to go slow. He's like, yeah, you need to pace yourself. And I was like, I do pace myself. And I started writing down on a piece of paper everything that I do to get through struggles or hard times or pain. And PACER stands for perspective, acceptance, community, endurance, and rest. And so I still check in with myself when I'm struggling or maybe depressed. Like, if I don't move my body, I can get a little sad. If I don't get sunshine, I can get a little sad. So how can you shift your perspective? Well, the quickest and easiest way is through gratitude. And if you're serious about abundance, then be serious about gratitude. Um, Acceptance is, we talked about that, like really take a good hard look at your life, be radically, radically honest with yourself. And when you are, you can take the steps to move forward, and you will also connect with the right community of people. And community might be the most powerful part of Pacer. When we're together, that's how we become unstoppable. And if you're serious about like leveling up, then be serious, and you're serious about growth, then be serious about accountability and find that community. Endurance is where your passion and your perseverance come into play. It's where you tap into your grit. And I like grit because I was never the best at anything I did. I was never the best dancer. I was never the fastest runner until I was like I could outwork anybody. So I trained harder, and so I won. I took more dance lessons, so I got on the company. To this day, I'm like, yeah, it might be hard to have a top 1% podcast. It's not because my podcast is the best podcast. It's because I have been gritty and I've been consistent, and I have never missed a week producing an episode. And then the last part of Pacer is rest, which I was going to leave off, but I've learned the hard way that if we really want to be resilient, it's so important to rest in recovery. And sometimes we have to strategically plan things, plan times to get our rest and recovery. Because, man, I like to go, I like to do, and I love what I do. And so I could literally be in my office or be on the road doing things like until I've ended up in the hospital. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
And it was when I had a doctor that said, this is your sixth time in the ER this
Yeah.
year. What the heck is going on? Like, something's got to change.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, okay, you know what? Our impact is only as strong as we are healthy. So when
Ooh.
I thought of other people instead of just me, like I can only make an impact if I'm healthy. I can only set a good example of my kids to take care of themselves if I'm taking care of myself. And so, you know what? Listening, I've got this whole PACER methodology into a workbook I've created. And if you just text the word grit to 818-214-7378. All you do is text the word grit, and you will get that free download, and you can apply this into your life. So if you're ever struggling, or if you're ever like, oh my gosh, this is hard. You want more resilience. This is your roadmap. This is your toolkit to get through that. So just text me. And that's really me texting. People text me and go, is this really you? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. It's me.
It's me.
It's me. And that's why it
Yeah,
took me a week to get back to you because I got a
exactly.
lot of message. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's me.
Yeah, cool. Oh my gosh, I love that. Wow. I'm telling you that rest part, I'm so glad that you added that in because that's something I've learned myself too. Is like I have all the energy to do the thing, but if I'm not filling myself up, I'm pouring from that empty cup. And I learned the hard way really realizing sometimes the fastest way to get there is to slow down because that's when I get the intuitive hits. That's when I get, I notice when God's winking because I've slowed
Yes.
down enough to be present for the moment of being like, wait, I feel like I need to turn or I need to shift. So that rest can truly shift the trajectory of what you're doing instead of just running the marathon or running really quickly of being like, oh my gosh, I've been running in the wrong direction. That rest allows you to be like, let me reflect for a minute. Am I even running the race that I want to run? Or can I shift this a little bit to get back on track with what I actually want?
Yeah. I always say, like, I love going fast, but we got to slow down around the corners or we're going to wipe
Yeah.
out.
Ooh, yes. Powerful. Well, speaking of bringing people together, the power of community, I would love for you to share more about this Unstoppable Success Summit that's happening in Dallas. Share with us more about this incredible experience where people can actually come together, learn from, and plug into the energy of people who truly live an unstoppable life and desire for you to have that too.
Oh, thank you for asking. I am so excited about this. This is a more of an intimate experience. So it's not a conference where there are thousands of people and you don't feel connected or you feel alone in the room of thousands of people. It's like a smaller group, and I've strategically picked the speakers who I want to be there, who I have so much love and respect for. I've got John Gordon, Ben Newman, Rudy Ricksteins, Rachel Luna, um, gosh, Henry Amar. Oh, these people have the biggest hearts, and I am so inspired by all they've done. And so it's not just going to be like a raw motivation. You're going to get actual tools, action plans, but also get the clarity and the confidence to actually go after your goals. But you are going to have that accountability by meeting people in the room in that community. And I tell you what, every single time I've invested in going to an event, something always good comes out of it, whether I'm speaking at the event or I'm actually going to a friend's event. And, I recently had a friend of mine say, I was speaking at an event in Vegas, and he goes, "Why are you staying for all 4 days of the event?" And I was like, "Because I want to be in the room, because that's where you make the connections." And I'm so glad that I did, because I've shared the stage with Ed Milet several times. So I've gotten to know him over the years. But at this event, at the VIP, is where we really got to connect in that intimate experience. And then he just asked me to fly out and be on his podcast. And so I got to go and interview on his podcast. And so it's times like that that you never know who you're going to meet in the room, in the bathroom, because you are coming with a community of unstoppable, like minded people who are all there to level up. And so I couldn't be more excited about it. And this one, like, in Texas, we say go big or go home. I'm going big with this. And my event planner keeps going, Amberly, okay, reel it in a little bit, because I was like, oh, I want a gospel choir there. I want like it to be the most unforgettable experience. So it's April 19th and 20th, with a special day on the 21st for mastermind members. And you can find it at unstoppablesuccesssummit.com. And right now there's a discount on tickets for a little while. I've holiday discount. So yeah, I hope to see y'all there.
It's going to be so powerful. I mean, talk about bringing this back full circle, us meeting at an event and like the power of the connections and just meeting people. And really, like, what I love about the fact that it's going to be this intimate group is the connection where you can actually like connect, talk to people, get to know people, give into the space. How can I support you? And it's so incredible the magic that unfolds. You just never know what's going to happen. But to your point, you're like, I want to be in the room. So, what a powerful room to be in. You guys, I hope that you join me in that space. I think it's going to be absolutely incredible to witness the speakers on that stage, to witness Amberly and her magic, and just really allow this unstoppable energy to move through you and allow it to be this catalyst for what you're creating and what you came here to create. So, thank you for creating this beautiful experience for people. And how can people connect with you even more? Where are you hanging out?
Well, I think most of my behind the scenes shenanigans are on Instagram, where my daughter and I are in my stories a lot with her horse or our 2 pound little puppy. Uh, she seems to be the most popular of my stories. Everybody, it's funny because
Yes.
I go to events and people know my dog's name, our
Yes.
horse's name,
Yeah.
so I love that. So that's Amberly Lago Motivation. You can go to amberlylago.com to find upcoming events. My new book will be there not till 2025, thank goodness, because I got to start writing it.
Yeah.
Um, Not just, yeah, got to start writing it. Yeah. But yeah, I'd love to connect. And again, yeah, reach out. And you're just amazing. I love talking with you, and I just appreciate you for this opportunity to come share with your audience. And I can see why they tune into your show and you have such a successful career. It's because you've got such a big heart, and it's just so great to be in your energy. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're so welcome. Oh my gosh, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for bringing your magic into the space, for bringing your authenticity, and for just sharing the real deal behind the scenes. You've given so many tangible next steps on how people can lean in and change their life and truly create an unstoppable life. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being here, for being my friend, for being an incredible light for people to plug into and to learn from. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm just so grateful for all the magic you're creating in this world.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time.